The alarm sounds in a ward in Ashworth Special Hospital. There's been a disturbance on a neighbouring ward and a dangerous patient is rushed back to his room. It's all part of the pattern of life in Ashworth, one of England's 3 top security special hospitals. Home to the Moors murderer Ian Brady, like Broadmoor and Rampton, it treats mentally ill and disordered patients, many of them rapists or murderers. Following serious allegations of staff brutality, Ashworth is now the subject of a major inquiry. The allegations concern events in the 70-year-old Moss Side, which forms one half of the newly established hospital. In 1980, a second wing, Ashworth North, was opened. We spent 2 weeks there, virtually without restriction, filming the reality of life behind the big wall. Ashworth North, 10 miles outside Liverpool, is the most modern special hospital in England. This film looks at life inside 2 of its 16 wards. First, Arnold, for severely mentally disturbed patients.
Morning, Mickey.
7 o'clock in the morning. Charge nurse Paul Weir opens up the rooms.
Arnold ward is classed as a high dependency ward within the hospital. The people who are here are profoundly ill. They are grossly disturbed, grossly psychotic. They hear voices that aren't there. They hallucinate, they see things. They have belief and thought systems that are alien until they're out of context. And the analogy is, if you kind of transpose it to a physical hospital, a general hospital, this would be an intensive care unit. The level of disorders is that profound.
Some of the patients in Arnold are potentially violent and need constant supervision.
Oh, fair enough. But yesterday anyway, how are you feeling?
Okay.
No problems?
No.
No further problems yesterday afternoon or out like that?
No, Paul.
Vince has been here since 1982. He's potentially one of the most dangerous patients in the hospital. In the past, his persistent sexual urges have led him to make violent attacks on other patients. He spent the last 5 years in seclusion, and although he's allowed occasional contact with the other patients, he's accompanied everywhere by a minimum of 2 nurses.
Have we?
I can't do anything.
I know how you feel, Vince. I had the same afternoon, love.
I understand you have to have 2 people with you all the time, 2 nurses.
Yes, Chris.
Yeah. Do you understand why?
Yeah.
Can you tell me why?
Because I'm considered that I'm considered to be dangerous.
Can you explain that to me? How or why you might have acted in the past? What would be considered dangerously?
In case I assault anybody.
Although by no means all the patients are as potentially violent as Vince, the nurses must be prepared for sudden outbursts.
Right, Arthur?
Arthur used to be a street fighter and still retains some of his aggressive ways.
1648. No, that's a lot.
His voice has been damaged by his repeated attempts to strangle himself with his blankets.
A pack of liquid soy sauce as well. Okay.
Thanks, Barney.
Thank you lot, Arthur.
Specifically what goes through the patient's mind throughout the period of a day, as I said, is very difficult to kind of grab hold of. There are those that will know where they are, date, time, place, who's the Prime Minister. There are those that may be attempting to deal with the thought disorder, the voices, hearing things that are quite derogatory and attempting to deal with that. There are those that will be drifting in and out of reality. And it's very difficult to distinguish when they are in reality and when they're not. Though there are those patients that just to get them through a day is enough.
It's been a difficult morning for Vince. He's asked to be taken back to his room as he struggles to control the sudden onset of a sexual urge.
You okay? What's happening? Tell me.
I've just come back from work area and MB coming and I was sitting talking to Tony and they smoked me pipe. All of a sudden I just got a sexual urge, you know.
For what reason? Any idea? Any idea?
No.
Who's it towards?
Liz.
Yeah. Okay, and what were you thinking about?
You know, kinky sex and that.
And what are your feelings now?
Sorry?
What are your feelings now?
I'll be right after my medication.
We're not over-sedating. Our approach is to control the symptoms, to reduce their distress, and to maintain a level of functioning that is acceptable to them. The whole aspect of given medication should be targeted at the symptoms, not given to make my job easier so I can sit and have a nice, easy day.
On another part of the ward, there's been an incident involving a nurse and the ever-pugnacious Arthur. He's now been taken back to his room.
As the member of staff turned his back on him, he attempted to attack the member of staff.
Keep your boots up, mate.
He's now been placed in seclusion. We did have extra medication. It didn't really prove in any way helpful to give him more medication. It would only certainly antagonise him.
Why did you try to do it? Yeah? What? Why? You don't know why.
We'll probably keep him in there for a couple of hours. The doctor's actually seen him. We're going to get him a sweet cup of tea, see if that'll give him any help. And what we'll do is we'll just let him have a little bit of period in there on his own. People feel that there are outside agencies, which are invariably the likes of the CIA and the Communist Party, are plotting against them. There are others that firmly believe that we leave here and go to their, where the family are, and abuse the children, that we are having sexual relationships with their wife, and now that can really make them hostile towards us.
It's unlikely that many of the patients in Arnold will ever be well enough to leave Ashworth. Most are going to need close supervision for the rest of their lives. On the other side of the campus in Lawrence Ward, there's a sharp contrast in styles. Lawrence is a low-dependency rehabilitation ward where the patients are allowed parole within the hospital grounds. This gives them a certain amount of freedom to come and go and to organise some of their own social activities. Most of the patients here are diagnosed as psychopaths. Some may be egocentric, callous or manipulative and may have difficulty understanding other people's feelings. Others may behave with little thought for the consequences of their actions.
On the morning of the 23rd of December 1983, I took a man's life through no fault of mine, no fault of his. It was just something that happened. I was under a lot of pressure, months, money problems, woman problems. In other words, the women that I had on the street for me were getting out of hand. I was drinking too much. I let everything get completely out of hand. And I heard this particular chap was using this girl that I know to turn clients in her room. And I went round to talk to him about it. And he pulled a knife on me. And I went crazy, I went berserk. I just blew my top, I went completely balmy. I've never, ever done anything like it before. I had an out-of-the-body experience. I could see what I was doing, but I was powerless to stop it. And then it was, he didn't deserve to die, especially not by my hands. And I killed him for something that might have warranted a smack on the nose.
They got me down as a primary psychopath, which is the worst one you could possibly be. You know, you've got sort of disruptive psychopaths, inadequate psychopaths, creative psychopaths. A primary one rubs all that out. You don't have to continue with any of them. You're just, you know, you're just the worst thing that can possibly be, walking the earth. In my opinion, psychiatry is it's just a lot of gobbledygook, really. And they just live in a world of fantasy all the time. And the more fantasy you can stick on them, the madder you are, according to them.
Are you saying that you have bluffed your way through psychiatrists?
Oh, I have, all the time, even from my crime. As soon as I realised on my crime, which I thought was a perfect crime, as soon as I realised there was a flaw in my defence, I went mad. Thinking, well, I'll get myself nutted off. And which I did easily. I made sure that whenever I saw my psychiatrist, I just made sure that I was completely stoned when I saw him. But he thought I was the best thing since sliced bread. The best one I ever told him was that when he asked me, well, why did I do this, Pete? Well, I thought, well, I just finished a book, actually, at the time called Papillon. And there was a bloke there, done a geezer with an iron. And then when he went to court, he says he needed smoothing out. Well, that gave me the idea. And I thought, well, when they said to me, why did you hit this geezer with this hammer? I said, well, I thought it was a nail. And of course, well, he couldn't stop writing after that.
What were you charged with initially, Pete?
Charged with murder. But with having them over, I got that down to manslaughter with diminished responsibilities.
Many of the patients in Lawrence have been referred here from prison. The startling contrast between their crowded prison cells and the comparative freedom of life in Ashworth is often a considerable shock for the unsuspecting new arrival.
I was told that I was coming to a nut house and I was going to be there for a long time because I was a nutter. And appreciate that I didn't know anything about these places. What I'd seen was on television, read in papers, heard on the radio. So I had quite a sort of horrific sort of picture of what it might be. And when I eventually got there, like there were 6 screws there, and they took me out of the van and the belt, and they sort of like gave me to a woman, a nurse, and that done me head in because I wasn't expecting it. I thought, what's going on, you know? And I asked to go back to prison 3 times.
What was Broadmoor like for you?
Terrible. Worst place on this planet you could possibly be.
What sort of things did you do there?
Everything. Everything you could think of. Just being a complete disruptive arsehole. You know, I was a bad dude.
And did that include violence, Pete?
Violence, yeah. One occasion, yeah. It did include violence, yeah. Somebody attacked me. Not really physically, but it would have come to a physical, and I done him with a sock full of batteries. 6 batteries in a sock, and just whacked him. I did have a razor at the same time, but that was only for my surgical work afterwards, in case he didn't go down with the batteries. I'd have gone and done a tracheotomy on him, you know. This is a softer option than Broadmoor. They've got it right here, but then, of course, it's always getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Yeah, that's the only trouble. I mean, they give you everything here. Rather in Broadmoor, you have to earn it. Here, if you misbehave, then they start taking it away.
It isn't normal at all in here. If you think of life as a maze, and in here, it's like a maze within a maze. Sometimes when you approach things and you go where you think there's an opening and just closes in your face, it isn't normal. There's pressures in here you wouldn't get outside at all. What I had to come to terms with what I'd done and how it happened and occurred and the person who it happened to, and that I had no intention of it occurring. So I didn't really stop and think, well, oh, you've been nutted off, as they say, inverted commas. It's not a case. These places hold fear for people in prison because they feel that coming here, people say, well, he's crazy, stay away from him. Because madness has that tag attached to it. Because you think of a dog in the street that has rabies and think that's madness. In the state and frame of mind that I was in, because of the way I was at, and it wasn't meant to happen. I hadn't pre-planned or premeditated anything. It just occurred that because of the state of mind I was in, I actually took someone's life. And I had no intention of doing so. Even after it occurred, I still couldn't believe it for a long time. It took me a while to come to terms that it had occurred, because I never thought that I was quite capable of taking anybody's life. I'm not a violent person, and I couldn't envisage myself creating violence that would end up somebody dying from it, so...
Was it someone you knew very well?
Oh, I knew her quite well, yes.
Radio Ashworth is here for you. Radio Ashworth is here for you.
You're listening to me, Steve, on Radio Ashworth. I've been given a request off Marlon, who wants to hear that the lunatics are taking over the asylum, but of course that's not allowed. So instead, I've got one here from Nick, who wants to hear something else.
Compared to a prison, any prison, I think, this place is a five-star hotel. You know, I mean, in most prisons outside, as you well know, you don't get toilets inside your rooms and sinks and all that sort of thing. Like, I mean, you could see by my room alone that there's no way you'd have a room like this in prison. You just wouldn't.
Our aim is to strike the balance between security and therapy so that the security is as unobtrusive as possible on the patient's daily lives, and that within what is obviously a relatively artificial environment, they can live as normal a life as is possible. It costs between £700 and £800 a week to keep a patient here. I think the special security requirements of our service, both the physical requirements and the numbers of staff we need to involve, inevitably will increase the costs. We're not talking about prisoners in a prison system. We're talking about people who require help and treatment in a hospital.
Let me tell you something, all right? I watched a programme not long ago, a couple of weeks ago, on the people who live down in London, the down and outs, Cardboard City, I believe they call it, all right? And I'll tell you now, and I'll tell the camera, all right? I would swap all this, all of it, all right? And I'd walk out that gate naked, all right, and live in a cardboard down in London. At least I'd have my freedom, at least I'd have my independence, at least I would have the right to choose my own destiny.
The recent change in Ashworth's management has meant a different approach to the treatment of the patients. Nonetheless, ghosts from the past continue to haunt the hospital, and a committee of inquiry under Louis Blom Cooper QC will spend the autumn investigating 4 specific allegations of illegal treatment of patients, including the death of one. Over the last 10 years, there have been many complaints by patients of improper care, and according to some patients in Lawrence, there's a certain amount of truth in them.
There is, but not as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've never had any of that treatment. I mean, you get some snide staff, you know, say, oh, we'll fit you up, or we'll stitch you up, and you've just got to be sort of one step ahead of them, you know.
You don't get any physical stuff from the staff, you know. I spent 3.5 years in Moss Side, all right? And I can compare. I got a lot of physical stuff from them over there. A lot of brutality, a lot of black aspirin, a lot of boot therapy.
What's black aspirin?
Black aspirin. It's where the black aspirin refers to the when they get you in a seclusion room, about 8 or 10 of them, and I mean 8 or 10 of them. They'll get you in a seclusion room, and they'll kick the living daylights out of you, honestly. And the reason it's called black aspirin is because nurses over in Moss Side, and here as well, because they get them issued, all right, will wear Doc Martens, all right, a pair of Doc Martens. They're always black, as you know, and that's it. That's the black aspirin.
Clearly, we're a close community. We're conscious of the effect of long-standing relationships and the tensions that creates. And that's why we do as much as we can to relieve those tensions by offering patients a range of activity. But there will be times when relationships break down. It's inevitable, I'm sure of that. As far as being able to say positively that there are occasions when the relationships have been less than professional, as far as being able to prove that is concerned, then that's a very difficult matter.
We read lurid stories in the papers about people who've been released from here and other secure hospitals who've reoffended. Do you know how many of the people who are released from here do reoffend?
We're researching this right now. Early indications suggest that around 15 or 16% of our patients, those that we've studied so far, have reoffended. Obviously, the general public wouldn't find any instance of reoffending acceptable, nor do we. Can I say a 16% reoffending rate, and I stress that's the picture so far, is clearly a higher rate than we would want. But that level of reoffending does compare favourably with other or with people who've been treated or contained in other secure institutions.
Perhaps the single greatest cause of tension in the wards is the patient's uncertainty about their own future.
I'm angry. I'm angry right now. You know what I mean? I'm always angry, you know, because I'm stuck here. I'm stuck in the same room, stuck in the same board, you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm not going anywhere, you know what I mean? And there are times when I'm tempted, very tempted, to just say to these people, right, stick it all up your jacksie, you know, and just sit back and spend the rest of my life here.
People outside may feel that life's passing them by, and yet they're doing day-to-day things. And you can never race against time anyway. You just take time as it comes. I've come to learn that you just have to be patient, that's all. Because if you force things anyway, you just get yourself bogged down and create more problems for yourself unnecessarily. Because each day comes and you might be thinking, well, is it tomorrow next week, whatever. You don't think about it in that respect. Just get on and do it.
There's very, very much a state of limbo in this place. Very much a state of limbo.
And they don't give you an idea about what you
They don't give you nothing. They give you squat. You know, they give you nothing at all. You know what I mean? They keep you dangling on a piece of string, and that's how they like it. I'm serving a life sentence. They can keep me here for the rest of my life if they want to.
They're going to continue this rehabilitation programme of mine a bit further so that I can go out a bit more and eventually go down to London and check out some places down there that can take me. And then in a year's time, not this tribunal, but the following tribunal, they'll probably conditionally discharge me and I'll be out then. I mean, I would never, ever kill anyone again. I don't deceive them now. I mean, they've got it all banked to rights now, you know. And they're trying to get me out, but because of the hole I dug for myself in the first place, it's almost impossible now, you know. I regret that tremendously, you know.
Pete, are there a lot of things that you've done before that you regret now?
Oh, yeah, I've done loads of things that I regret, yeah. Yeah, I regret ever coming into the psychiatric profession.
Now, another thing that I feel quite deeply is that I'm worried about being pushed out before I'm ready to go. And I want to be sure, because the way I see it, this is my last chance to get my life in order. If I go out and if I mess up after that, after all this, then they're going to lock me up and throw the key away.
You come back in here and the door is shut and the key is turned and you're effectively banged up for the night.
Yeah, that's right. From 9:30 at night till 7 o'clock in the morning.
What goes through your mind?
Think of being outside. I don't know. Especially Saturday nights. You know, Friday nights, Saturday nights. You know what I mean? Because you know that's when everybody goes down and has a good time, like, you know. I can feel myself getting used to being institutionalised. I can feel myself slowly sliding into it. I'm angry at it. I'm angry. And I'm bitter, but there's nothing I can do about it. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it.
Well, I want to go out, I do, yeah. I want to go out and try and start my life up again. It's going to be hard for me, you know, but I've got certain plans. Whether I'll be able to put them into fruition, I don't know.